Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 92. Simon Pure's journey has taken a turn for the better as his family is happy and healthy. He's been reunited with long-lost friend Albert Einstein, and even Benedict Arnold wants to be friends now. I'm sure that this will all end well. It is so nice to see at least one Ghost Machine tale wrap up with our hero being able to rest upon his laurels and happily sow his days away with his family at his side. I am Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my better half. My dear, how do you do this evening? And aren't you so happy for Simon and Albert and Benny?
So happy. I don't feel that Benny is going to cause any trouble. Albert himself won't be a part of anything that's major in history after this little thing with Benny and Simon.
Right.
I doubt it. And then, Simon's just going to live with his family and all's going to be well, just like with ours.
Yeah. So as we go through this, it keeps occurring to me because if you've been keeping up, or even if not, if you just kind of sense the foreboding nature of some of this storytelling, you can tell that badness be coming. Like it's like the Jaws sound, like that, but it's like going through this entire story arc, like slowly getting louder and louder to the inevitable death of we're not exactly sure how many members. We don't know for sure that it's Simon's family, but we're guessing, and it's just this dark pall that hangs over the whole thing.
It's interesting.
But I'm sure it's going to be okay. I'm sure that's not. It's probably Benny's grave in those flashbacks.
One could hope.
That's what it is. Benny really does renounce the badness. He becomes a good dude, and as he dies, though, and then Simon blames Albert.
Yep, that's got to be it.
He loses immortality. He loses, and he has to sacrifice it to the greater good, and he blames Albert. That's what's going to happen. It's not Simon's family. Simon's family is actually secretly out there still living their days away as immortal, happy people because Benedict did it.
Actually, they were, unchanged or any of that stuff. They would actually be dead right now.
Sure, we're going to get into that because potentially, if Benedict's intentions are as honorable as I am accepting at face value, then that means that he has the potential to make Simon's family immortal as well. But we're going to find out. It'll be okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
But speaking of heroes whom we would like to immortalize, we, as always, would like to start things off with a shout out. And this time it is to artist extraordinaire, Cesar Feliciano. Cesar, who you can find on Instagram under the Art of Cesar Feliciano. That's CesarFeliciano, has done an enormous amount of cool Ghost Machine work from all 4 different universes that you can find on his page. He even at one point did a collaboration with us on a homemade comic that Bouncy Color Artist. You can find that handle on Instagram as well. Did the color for that. We just did, some music and some dialogue stuff, and they did that. They're really cool parts, and you can find that in the records on our social media as well. So if you don't know Cesar Feliciano, make sure to check out his incredible work at the Art of Cesar Feliciano on Instagram. And he does cool stuff all the time. It's not Ghost Machine too. So very, very neat artist. Has some of his own content, I believe, that he works on as well.
Thank you, Cesar.
Say Feliciano 3 times fast.
Feliciano, Feliciano, Feliciano.
Okay, well, that was kind of fast, but we'll take it. And that means that I'm getting taken out of here because Snoggle is back in the newsroom.
Today is Wednesday, January 21st, which happens to be the release date for Redcoat 16, which we will be deep diving into today. Also, our excitement for the upcoming Ghost Machines, the official guidebook, rises as more and more is revealed to us. We have now seen 3 amazing 2-page spread character splash covers, and this official guidebook series will have 5 issues, starting with the Unnamed universe. Woo!
The coolest.
The coolest.
So we don't know a whole lot other than the fact that if you go check out on Ghost Machine Pro's Instagram, or I'm probably floating around in Image Comics, something or other now at this point too, you'll see these 3 different covers that they've got going on. And an enormous amount of detail. It really highlights the expanse of the character catalog, you could say. And it also has some stuff like some new characters in there, some characters that you haven't really seen that much or drawn by the artists who seem to have drawn them for these particular covers. And it does clarify, like you said, 1 of 5 issues. So there's going to be multiple guidebooks. And there is some kerfuffle out there. Some like high profile internet organizations were saying that this was like ripping off DC's classic guidebooks and stuff like that. And well, the thing is, that's kind of like, that's what an homage cover type of thing is. And if you go back and look at the guidebooks that DC used to do back many decades ago, these are kind of homages to that, kind of like the checkerboard covers on the top and the Unnamed universe. Those are actually homages to very early, like DC in the 60s, because there was a lot of that. So it's just for fun and it's super cool. And there's the one thing that I want to know more about is like in the inside of these guys, are we going to have things like some pros, like the bio pages that we have at the end of the books? Are we going to have more of that? Are we going to have like diagrams of anything? Like I imagine like really neat pages where you could see like George Washington from the Unfounding Fathers notes on some weird ritual, right? And then like in the Rook ones, you can see all the blueprints to all the different warden helmets or something like that, like all that kind of stuff. Like, would you enjoy that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what our focus should be. Not, oh, this looks like something someone else might have done several years ago. Like everything is either a tribute or, like there's always a little bit of nod of what came before. So I'm very excited. And I like that we're starting with the Unnamed.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. It's a cool concept. And it will take all the world building we can get, right? So
Yeah.
This is a great place to do it. But speaking of this world, which we would love to build upon with this conversation, the comic book that we're talking about this time around is Redcoat number 16, which came out today, just like Snoggle said. And as usual, we need to talk about the fantastic covers, and they are really good for this book before we dive into it. So why don't you kick us off there, Snoggle? We've got an A cover by Brian Hinch and Brad Anderson.
So it is Simon, and he's stitching the American flag, and it's like a wraparound cover. Benny is in the shadows, being all sneaky and Benny-like.
I've been watching you and your family.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Crazy
How
Benny
scary that
from the
he's
bottom
like,
of the lake.
Yeah, I like it. I always really, really appreciate a wraparound cover. I like that you can see just the extreme care in each stripe of Simon's relationship with his wife.
Each stripe of the American flag that he is sewing, which in and of itself is ironic because he learned to sew because he had to continue to repair his red coat during all of his irresponsible and insufferable years. And now he's showing an American flag, which is representative of him in a lot of ways. And each stripe is a stage of his relationship with his wife. You can see when she noticed him in the shop, then they go on a date, then they're smooching, then he gives her a ring, then they have a baby. And then the final panel, we have the shadowy figure creeping through the window, who is also creeping through the window on the main cover, or the front part of the cover.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Sad. Well, I'm sure it's not sad. I'm sure it's just the beginning of more happy tales with Simon and his family.
It's going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, as a fan of Ghost Machine, these kids, they're playing with toys. I was like, where's the Junkyard Joe figure? Where's the, and there's not. And then clearly there's, the funny thing is, because this world does in fact involve time travel, it would not be appropriate. It could, you couldn't just like toss that in there. So what was your thought on the B cover?
I mean, this is pretty sweet. I do like how it is seemingly, it's like it goes from black and white to color. The Hindenburg being on fire. Mm-hmm. First of all, I think it's really fun if Simon was there. And the fire looks amazing. But I like how in the background it's like kind of black and white, and then it's fading into color in some areas. So I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. It's by Chris Weston, and it appears to be Simon fleeing from the crash of the Hindenburg. It doesn't indicate that he was on the Hindenburg. I would assume odds are he was on the Hindenburg. If he's in the vicinity of the Hindenburg when it crashed and he wasn't on it, I think he wouldn't be Simon Pure. But whatever. In this case, he's not on it and he got off of it or whatever. There is a door kind of sort of open. It looks like it's closing on the front of it. But yeah, it's enveloping in flame as it did. And I looked it up because I was like, I wonder if this has anything to do with this era. And it does not. This is 1937 is when this event occurred. So it makes me wonder if I'll find more about what happened that day. One day.
I like it.
C cover is one of the best Redcoat covers of all time. And and it is the best Raymond Gay cover I've ever seen. Raymond Gay does a lot of Spawn stuff. He's done some Ghost Machine stuff previously. It's Simon Pure sitting on a throne of explosives on a boat, drinking a beer with a match lit, and it looks like he's about to light up all the dynamite. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. I like the color too.
Yeah, Brad Anderson did the colors on this one for Raymond Gay.
Yeah, go Brad.
Yeah, I like how he made the lantern glow and then kind of cast some of that glow down onto Simon from above.
Yep.
Really fantastic cover. Just so cool.
Yeah.
Such a cool cover. Makes you wonder what the deal is with that. Like he's trying to think about.
Well, maybe like in a couple of books from now, after we find out everything that's about to happen, maybe he's going to want to blow himself up.
Maybe it is to celebrate how he and his family get to move on to like a peaceful island somewhere. And they don't need that boat. They only need the other boat that they're going to have.
Yeah. It's like for good things that he's trying to blow himself up.
All right. So that is quite the explosive cover. Love that Raymond Gay. And that makes this your official spoiler pause for Redcoat number 16. All right, we're here. We made it. And Snoggle, can you please give us a creator roll call?
Of course I can. We've got our creators, Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch, and our color artiste, Brad Anderson. And as usual, we are joined by our king of letters, Rob Lee.
Epic guitar solo, Rob Lee. He was recently on the Nerd Initiative and Hops Geek News. If you take a look at them online on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the things, they had a really cool interview recently with Rob Lee. That's the Nerd Initiative and Hops, Hops Geek, Geek News, News. So it's the usual suspects. And so this book's been going on for a while, and it seems that they thought it apt to catch us up a little bit. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the exposition here that helps us remember the relationship that Simon has with Benedict and Albert? But then it also is a really cool way of introducing us to some other characters and events in time.
But I do like that we started off with a bit of a recap. So we start off with essentially before the last book, the last time that we knew the two have been together, right? On the boat.
Yeah, and that's when Benedict is in flames, but it doesn't appear to really be bothering him. And we do get a little, as Simon's catching you up with a little bit of exposition here. He does say specifically something that we hadn't heard, I don't think, this much detail before. In the early days of America, George Washington and his men had stolen more than land. They seized its power, the spark of creation, the great fire. Carried from the mountains to the prairie, it could heal the sick, enrich the soil, or turn a town into ash. So that's a little different. That sounds weird. That sounds more like they found some weapon out of time. Well, but either way, I don't think we've ever heard the detail that they carried it from the mountains down to the prairie and that it did all these things. We don't know what the thing is that they found. Still,
no, we don't.
We just know it makes things glow blue. There's a lot of that.
Blue fire.
Yeah. It was neat to see this I feel as though Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, which is how Albert Einstein's sister begins to feel like an attunement or a kinship to the native peoples of America and their quote unquote their spirit. I thought that was interesting because we didn't ever really have a clear understanding of why. She was we were thrown very much in medias res into what was going on with Albert and his sister before. And it was please, you got to do this stuff, Mr. Pure. It's about you, Mr. Pure. And we get to see kind of more of the Albert side now when we find out that she began to have those visions after she, met these native peoples and then put a dream catcher over her bed.
Well, you know what I find incredibly interesting about that? Obviously, well, maybe not obviously to some. So dream catchers are supposed to catch nightmares to keep the nightmares away from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like in some way, the nightmares actually were amplified and in a foreseen nature sent to her, which ultimately, sends her into some weird coma type state.
And it's a weird dream catcher because it moves, it has a pentagram and then it moves together to form the symbol of the founding fathers, and then it has that glowy blueness.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some sort of
magic. I think there's magic going on.
Yeah, but energy that no one really controls or something, But we get reminded of the acts of lies and how that went down and how Albert solved that problem and how naked Benedict Arnold was for that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
He was very naked because it was a way of emphasizing that the fire wasn't burning him because it burned off his clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't have the benefit of Bruce Banner, just a little bit of some shorts that stayed on.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
And how foreboding. But it's essentially I thought we were rid of him forever, but his fate was unknown. Cut to Albert realizing his sister woke up.
In conjunction to that happening, like he went home after they did that to Benedict.
Yeah.
And his sister woke up. What did you think of the panel after she wakes up that is like of Einstein flying over a city with electrical stuff zapping all around?
Remember, I asked you, like, did you read a book about a zealot with Ben Franklin's skeleton key controlling lightning? And you were like, no, we did not.
No, we didn't, but that's what the lightning is. It's from this skeleton guy who's got a key who's shooting lightning out. And then you have this old school heroes vibe with Annie Oakley, Simon Pure, Albert Einstein, and a new character, Nellie Two Bear Gates, who is wielding a tomahawk, and she's on the opposite of the splash page to Annie Oakley, and they're all fighting a zealot who could summon lightning through Ben Franklin's skeleton key.
Whoever this zealot is, I love the fact that he is dressed as a skeleton person.
Yeah, he looks like he's dressed as a member of Cobra Kai in Karate Kid 1.
Yeah, he's got glow-in-the-dark skeleton pajama pants, like a onesie on.
It's appropriate. He's wielding Ben Franklin's skeleton key.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. But that's really just because Simon is the one who, as usual, is narrating. It is why we get a glimpse of that adventure. And the joke is, it's one more time where Albert's saying, "It's your fault again, Mr. Pure." And as the page says, then life went on. And Albert went back to his studies and he went back to what he does. And it's funny. He's like chasing and going around horseless carriages. So we know that's, the continuation of time. And his outfit gets damaged again, but then he runs past a tailoring shop. And then 17 years after our first encounter and well over a decade since our last, Albert is at my door in Boston.
And of course, we get the wonderful news that Benedict is back. Simon's, how? How is he back? Which, between you and I, of course, we're about to watch all of this. But eventually, someone gets exploded, right? And they're in the, the bay or whatever. Eventually something's gonna move, or there might be a minor earthquake or erosion. That to me would not make me sleep soundly after that incident if I was immortal.
You're saying that you would have had like a crew going down there in diving gear looking for this guy.
Yeah, or just somehow ensuring he stayed in that tomb. I just don't think they did enough, which is very clear, because I love that we turn the page and we get, it's July 31st, 1909. I believe they're building the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, it could be. A bridge like that, some sort of suspension bridge of that nature. And it's another beautiful period piece by Brian Hitch as we continue to get. He seems to really like to do that. It's pretty neat though, because we get a set of workmen that are chatting, building that bridge, because in the distance they see a big boat dredging the harbor, and apparently it's dredging the wreck of the SS Majestic, which went down when they were children. And then we know that is the boat that went down that covered Naked Benny. So yeah, as the Brooklyn Bridge appears to be being built, because you can see the Statue of Liberty in the background behind the boat that's dredging the harbor. We see the stuff start to shake. I vividly recall the way that it looked when that thing fell on Naked Benny, and stuff moves around, and you just see those two blue glowing eyes and it's the blue glow of the founding fathers' badness magic. But apparently he's got his powers like right off the bat because he does something to explode like from beneath the water.
It looks insane, by the way. Just absolutely insane.
Oh, you mean when he actually gets out of the water on the side of the boat?
Yes, but like, okay, again, I have a lot of questions. So it's just the fact that he was moved and he had more room to move his hands around to do spells. That's how he could finally get out.
Yeah, I would say that, and if he could just get out in anyway, but he definitely did some sort of spell to make that watery explosion, and we know that he had an affinity for magic related to water.
Yeah,
as well, and you're right, he is insane because we just see him naked with the Axel eyes and a long, like, never haven't had a haircut in forever over the edge, and then it's newspaper article, Dockside Massacre, 6 killed by axe-wielding maniac. Because that's what Albert is showing Simon. And he says that he arranged their bodies in a circle. And Simon thought that would be the symbol of the founding fathers. And Albert said it might have been a ritual. But yeah, I mean, it's all jives, you know, like that makes sense that he would do something like that. And ironically, he's asking like if it was a vision or whatever, and he's like, "No, I was in New York and I just read it in the paper." And he's been in the U.S. investigating instances of spontaneous combustion and things like that. So that's interesting as well. It's starting to open more to the wrinkle of what is Einstein like in the world of the unnamed compared to what you know in the history books.
I find it very interesting, this whole clockmaker's shop thing. It started in Zurich. A clockmaker's shop burned from the inside out. The man still sat at his bench, untouched by fire. Every gear around him melted to glass. I believed it might be natural. Now I know it was not. That seems fishy to me because there's no way in my brain I could believe that that was natural. But, I mean, he's Einstein, so he is smarter than me.
Well, that was back when they were talking about spontaneous combustion being a thing, too. But
yeah,
in this instance, it's like, well, the guy wasn't hurt at all. So to me, that we're going to come back to that they wouldn't put that in here and then not come back and be like, oh, yeah, that's what he was talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But ultimately, his wife notices that he's there. And so they do have like a little bit of pleasant time. And he tells them he has a family as well. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. It's totally cool. They're eating pancakes, you know?
Yeah. They're comparing the fact that both of their children demand syrup. I mean, couldn't get better than that.
Yeah. Everything is absolutely, I mean, look at the lighting. Look at the smiles. They've got coffee.
You know, all kidding aside, I do think that as a fan of Brian Hitch for a long time, I feel as though he's gaining ability in like facial expression and facial detail. And it's like he has more angles to play with than he used to have when he was just doing the authority and stuff. It's really cool. When you see them all sitting around the table and then you have these close-ups of Einstein talking and eating and Simon talking with the cup. The characters and faces are much more distinct than they were when I was in high school, you know, reading the authority. So, yeah. Or I guess college at that point. And at the same time, though, they're like, all right, cool. We got to find Benny. We got to take care of this. We're friends, but we got to, there's like big problems. And there's conflict building. He has to go back to work and he's late for the first time in years. Oh my goodness. His boss is like, it's fine, son. You're here now. We have an incredible customer. He wants to spend all the money and he's asking for you. And of course, it's evil Benedict Arnold. I'm sorry, he's not evil. He's perfectly reformed and better now after killing 6 men in cold blood.
You can see the look on his boss tells him this, and he said, "Who? ... And we all knew. He knew too, you know? Simon, old boy, how do I look?
Yeah. And he
But it
does,
took him, like,
his eyes look evil.
Yeah, and he's also been in water for a long period of time, right? And he just had, like, money hidden all over the place.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. He probably had like multiple safe houses even in that town that he just got up and walked to. But he said he had years to think, trapped beneath that wreck at the bottom of the harbor. And there were moments he dreamt about chopping Simon into pieces.
Yeah.
But in the end, he tries to. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's trying. He's really saying legitimately that, like, it brought him to a place where he was able to reflect on everything. And now he has a different outlook on, like, the world because he was able to meditate at the ocean floor, on the ocean floor.
And multiple times, Simon reminds him, Benny, the first thing you did was kill 6 men with the axe of lies. The actual first thing you did.
And he dismisses it. I was disoriented and a bit foggy, half mad with air and freedom. I thought they attacked me. When the first fell, the rest rushed in. I had to defend myself. You know, it was like, oh no.
And then we find out at least what he says, because I don't think any of us can believe anything this man says. I left their bodies as I did to bless them, to ask forgiveness. Simon, they had families. Ooh, and like the facial expression when Benedict says, like yours, Simon's in defend mode, whether he's going to act that way to Benedict or not. That gives him pause.
Oh yeah, and it's foreboding. Although I'm sure it's just going to lead to all of them bonding and being happy one day. So, because he even, this is where he goes into serial killer mode, where he's like, I found you with a spell, and then I watched you from across the street. I even saw when you bought the flowers from the old woman named Ginny. Oh, and it's like, all right, dude, okay, all right, hold on, slow down. Like, okay, we get it. All right, that's really bad. But, and then he, of course, knows his wife's name and his children's names. And I'm expecting Simon to draw a gun and like shove him against the wall and say, "Never talk about my family again, or I will kill you." And but you don't get that, like that. You don't
Simon's
get that.
Actually a changed man right now.
He is, but you'd think that because of his sensitivity to his family, that Benedict even mentioning this kind of thing, it would be like, I'm like, don't even do that. Get out of my life. Get out of here. Like, you don't know. This is too precious to me. But Benedict persists that he's recognizing that Simon's life is superior and Simon has, quote unquote, won. And he's very sorry for killing those men. And he'll see that their families are cared for. He says, I still have treasures hidden across the country. Here in Boston, they'll have them. It's like, okay, buddy. I don't want to be your enemy, Simon. I want to be your friend. And I'm going to start by helping you. This I did not see coming.
No, me neither, but I just, it's Benedict Arnold. There's no, maybe there is, but I do not trust this man. Your family will grow old while you stay the same. So I'll help you spare them the pain. I'm going to make them like you. I'm going to make them immortal. Aye. And then it's next, a deal with the devil. And I do like this cliffhanger at the end here.
I do. Yeah. Well, because you can't tell. It's like, well, I guess that's something of a solution.
Yeah.
As long as the children can still age to like a certain thing. And knowing how foreboding this all is, despite our continuous joshing on this episode about how everything's going to work out, we're assuming something really bad is going to happen to at least some of the family members. So I can imagine now that has to do with whatever Benedict attempts to do to their supposed benefit. And
well, it says a deal with the devil, so
I know.
I am always one to assume the devil is Benedict in this situation.
Yeah, it's not George Washington. It's not. It's not. And we get another Albert Einstein bio at the end of this one. And I'm okay with these because it seems like when we get more than one of the same person, it hasn't happened much. But when we do, it's like a different stage of their life, and this tells us different stuff about Albert than the one that we got when it was young Albert Einstein. And the other one was called young Albert Einstein. And I think it said age 14 on it.
Yeah.
I do like how they have a detail in there that he was a gifted musician and that he would have been a violinist if he didn't become a scientist. I didn't know that. But it said he called it another form of magic. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then we get that another one of those really neat adverts for Ghost Machine official guidebook coming out, and then a preview for issue 17 of this series. Can Benedict and Simon overcome their past? ? As it looks like Benedict is charging Simon through a broken window, and then there's the shards of that window have all these different parts of their history together.
And he's got the axe.
He does. He has the axe of lies in his hand. There's even a panel, one of those shards that shows like some hooded cultist guys, and there's like a floating blue dude in the middle. I bet that's the ritual that went wrong.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Pretty cool. Great issue in the world of the Unnamed, and for our favorite immortal, Simon Pure. Hopefully this all works out great, and he can continue living out his days with his happy family. We're going to live out the rest of these minutes on this episode, as usual, with a fantastic mail. Would you like to read it to us, Snoggle?
Oh, would I? Our fantastic mail comes from Brad. We have, and I should put some quotes. It begins now. Brad's question. We've been told a new series is coming from Ghost Machine in 2026. Is that this series of guidebooks being advertised? So the short answer, Brad, is no.
No.
Nick, why don't you elaborate?
Well, I think that it is fair to say what we have heard is that there's a lot of new and exciting stuff coming out and being announced this year.
There's at least 2 new books starting this year. The $1 Trillion Kid and First Ghost, correct?
That's right.
And more, and I'm sure more to come.
Well, we know that those 2 are coming because there's an advert for the $1 Trillion Kid in the back of this issue. There was one in the last issue of Geiger that we talked about last week. And we don't know anything more about that, but we know it's coming in 2026. And we know that First Ghost is coming in 2026. We just don't know when. And Brad Meltzer recently in an interview online mentioned First Ghost as well. So we know it's on the radar. It's happening for sure. We did get the prelude in a recent issue of Redcoat for that too.
I think we'll have something in the spooky verse as well.
Well, there was supposed to be a book called Soulless at one point by Lamont McGee. We just don't know when that's going to be for now, but High Street is going to continue going strong, starting back in March. So I would say the answer to your question, Brad, and thank you for writing in, is that the Ghost Machine Guidebook is one of, if you consider that a series, and it looks like they're advertising it as one. It's going to be 5 issues. the first one says 1 of 5, and it's going to be in the world of the Unnamed, then that would be one of 3 series that are new, that are coming out this year. I don't know that, obviously that's not an ongoing quote unquote series. We don't know if the $1 Trillion Kid is, and we don't know how long First Ghost is going to go on. But I would say the answer to your question is yes and more. And if you would like to be like Brad and send us a question, a comment, a heckle, or an observation of any kind, then you can do so by emailing ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. And you can check out all of our other content by going to www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you can see all of our social platforms, our wiki, and invite information to get to the Discord, which has been rocking and rolling late.
And thanks for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Thank goodness Simon Pure Settle Down podcast.
He's so happy.
It's going to work out.
Nothing's going to be bad.